the thing that goes to mind is you get to do your reputation once.
The first big boy.
You guys are in my head, like I'm so excited for this kid. Dude, I made 13 grand last year. You sure?
Afford for like 1 month.
You sure? Here's a Ferrari, bud. He's like, oh, bro, come on, take it out. Just try it out. Right? So I get the red key, right? And your nerves are going. You're like, holy smokes, I'm going to drive a $250,000 car, right?
$26,000 for fucking sides.
$26,000 worth of sides? What are these sides? They cure cancer?
The sides did cure cancer. That's the problem. They were there. That's why they were expensive.
It's something that we could do too.
It's like what you're doing now with watches or debt consolidation, but there's like 5 more zeros on the end of every transaction. You're going to do the same amount of work.
We have a client that bought a soccer club. Flipped it. Bought it for 10 and sold it for 120.
You can pick my wife up. You take my car, roll the windows down. You guys go take the in and out together.
Yeah, sign me up.
You commit yourself. You grind and you grind and you grind, and then suddenly you're really lucky.
Not by podcast, though.
Yeah,
That's what he's missing today.
I actually have a marketing team. We have 2 printers. Oh shit, man! Here we go.
There's no manual for it.
Yeah, no manual.
No, you figure it out.
But I'm really excited.
What ends up being the why did we win? Because I think that substantiates your value and helps you win more in the future.
But we kick their ass all the time. They don't like it too much.
Peyton, you can just sit in the corner with a
like
microphone.
marshmallow, like the DJ or someone put some sort of head on him.
On the way to sign the deal with John Schlitt, wham!
Welcome back to season 2 of the Let's Development Podcast, your go-to show for insights in real estate, business, and lifestyle. I'm Max.
My name is Patrick. We're 2 Germans here in town in Arizona, and we're trying to teach you guys some stuff about real estate development, investing, some lifestyle stuff. And looking forward to getting season 2 going.
Patrick, your reminder.
Oh, quick reminder, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, podcasts, all the good stuff. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share with friends and other people.
So today we're very excited to have one of our dear friends and business partners here, Kyle McGinley. To give you guys a little intro, today's guest is someone who truly lives and breathes business, family, and passion, just like Patrick and myself. A Phoenix native, proud ASU graduate, and principal at Ross Brown Partners, one of the Valley's top full-service commercial real estate firms. At 16 years old, he launched his own high-end wholesale watch company. He's facilitated over $2.5 billion in leasing and investment transactions. A watch collector, car enthusiast, and real estate powerhouse. Beyond business, he serves as the vice president of Valley Guardians, a local nonprofit that empowers entrepreneurs and supports education initiatives. He's also brand ambassador for Ferrari North America. He's a family-first guy, and he's about to step into a brand new chapter of his life very soon. We're thrilled to have him on the show today, dive into business, real estate, passion projects, and life. With that, please welcome to the show our good friend, Kyle McGinley.
Yeah, buddy. Here we go. Thank you.
What an intro. What an intro.
Yeah. Awesome. Honored to be here, guys. Thank you.
So we're super excited to have you, Kyle. We're gonna kick this off here with Alan, who's the host of the show. Alan, you fire away.
No, just do a little fun little game. So draft day. So we'll go around just since we had the NFL draft recently. We'll go around here. We'll do Kyle first, Max, and then Patrick. First category is watch collection starter.
Oh man, a starter.
Just pick a watch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It just depends on the budget here, but I'm gonna go with shoot, man.
No budget.
I gotta go. Rolex has been good to me. Rolex has been really good to me. I'll go with the Daytona Meteorite. We're doing that today, so yeah, I think that's where we'll start.
Okay, I don't have mine on, but I would do Daytona Oyster Flakes.
Yeah, good work.
I'm not gonna go with the Apple Watch. I gotta go Patek.
Yeah.
Patek Nautilus. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then second category is dream garage car to have in your garage.
Something we don't have yet.
Yeah, it's a dream.
Well, it takes a lot off the list for Kyle. We gotta include what you have. So if you already have it, you gotta let us know.
I'm gonna go with like a Koenigsegg Agera.
Okay, you don't have that.
That's what I aspire to have. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get there.
Porsche 918 Spider.
Ferrari Monza.
Okay, yeah, good work. Yeah.
Ultimate vacation destination. Place you haven't gone, I guess.
I'm gonna go with a place I have gone. I had a great time 2 years ago in Greece, Mykonos, Greece. Absolutely wonderful food, great people, great beaches. It was a freaking spectacular time. Can't wait to go back.
My bucket list, the Ayara Resort in the Maldives. Always wanted to go there. Place is insane.
Yeah?
Water, villas, everything.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna go Austria. Mountains,
Really?
Austria. Yeah, one of the best places.
Best piece of business advice you received.
Oh man, you guys put me first. You're not giving me any seeds here. Let me think. Best piece of business advice. There are quite a few I could think of, but being in commercial real estate, being in real estate in general, being in sales in general, the thing that goes to mind is you get to do your reputation once. A friend of mine, Mark Kogan, gave me that a few years back, and keeping your honesty, your loyalty, doing what's right, that one stuck with me. You get to do that once. So that's what I'd say is most impressionable as of late on me. You get to do that once.
So I obviously agree with you. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be all sitting here. But I think what I can add to it is one of Patrick's and my biggest mentors says, keep your circle small and your vision big. And I think that's extremely powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think getting started, like a lot of people plan and procrastinate and don't really do stuff. Like I think we're all people that take shots and just do stuff. And so I feel like a lot of people could get much further if they would just get going, get started.
What's that one quote? Fire, shoot, aim.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Ready, fire, aim.
Ready,
Yeah.
fire, aim.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Always firing.
All-time favorite athlete.
I gotta go with an F1 driver. We'll change it up. Automotive theme today a little bit here. I freaking love Daniel Ricciardo. He's just a hilarious guy
So
racing
random.
F1. He's not very good. You know what? He was impressionable on me the first time I saw him on whatever that Netflix was, Drive to Survive, and I spent some time with him out at the Phoenix Open. Actually, great guy, and yeah, he's funny. I love him. He's great.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
No.
100%.
It's a tough one because so many different sports. Marco Reus, soccer player from Dortmund, plays in LA now, LA Galaxy.
Okay.
Always played for my favorite team, so
Beautiful.
Dream concert to attend. It can be a live or theirs.
Oh man. You guys go first. I'll think of that. I'll get one.
Avicii would be amazing.
Yeah.
yeah, that's not gonna happen anymore. Is what it is. I'm trying to think. I feel like all the ones Robbie Williams.
Oh, that's a good one.
I did just watch the Avicii thing as well. I was like, holy smokes, hit factory, hit factory, hit factory. It just kept going. He's an absolute genius. I wish we could have seen more from Tim. But yeah, I'd probably go with Avicii. That's a good one. You led the witness there a little bit, so
Good.
yeah.
Go to hype song.
On the way, oh man, we were with Chris Stark the other day, and coming home from dinner, and what did we have on? Rick Ross Hustlin', and that was pretty good. He goes, "Are you going to close a deal right now?" I'm like, you know what? This is the song,
This is
right?
it.
Yeah, this is the one you listen to. So I'm gonna go with Rick Ross Hustlin'.
That's tough. I don't think I have a.
Or it could be artist too. Or too like hype.
Everything that fist pumps for Max.
Anything that fist pumps with big drops in regular intervals. There's one remix from Steve Aoki on that Bella Ciao song. That thing, that thing is really, really good. After a closing, it's pretty good.
I think yours is pretty good. I don't have a specific one, but I'm more like on the hip hop side or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bucket list sports experience.
Oh man, that's easy. We're going on the F1 theme today. I'm gonna say Monaco Grand Prix, sit in the back of a boat, yacht maybe. Yeah, something nice like that.
Nice and cheap.
Nice and cheap. We gotta keep working. Gotta keep going, guys. Yeah, we'll get there.
I don't think it's so much for the F1 component because you obviously don't see much, but I think that doing that with your closest friends and business partners in an environment like that, I think that's what it's about. So they could do whatever there for all I care if it's F1 or go-kart or who cares.
Yeah.
But that'd be good.
I'll let that romantic trip go for you guys. I would go Super Bowl or Ryder Cup.
Yeah, okay. Go to fast or casual restaurant.
I'm gonna go with your lead in the witness again on that one. Fast food. I don't know how many people know me too well, but my wife has to beg me to take her to In-N-Out, which we do with the windows down if we eat it in the car, because I'm very particular about how that makes the car smell. Or we go inside and eat. So, I'm gonna go with fast casual. Great Friday night spot, Friday day spot, maybe 6 days a week type spot. It's Pomo Pizzeria in Scottsdale. It's probably 5 or 6 times a week. It's pretty bad, but it's good stuff. It's my favorite restaurant, bar none.
Yeah, I hang out there equally as much as you do, so I would say that's our go-to spot. But I like In-N-Out too. I wouldn't like crave it, but if it was for like a fast food, I'd rather go there than to any other place. But I would not eat it in the car.
You can pick my wife up. You take my car, roll the windows down. You guys go take the In-N-Out together. I'll stay home.
I would go poke bowl or In-N-Out is good.
A fixture of health and wellness.
Yeah.
Okay, one luxury item you splurge on, non-car, non-watch.
I like to have dual purpose when I think of the answer to this question. And, obviously a private jet would help as we're expanding our real estate horizons into multi-states. That one adds a little bit of fun to the mix and also a little bit of utility, you would hope. And so that's a dream. That's something I aspire to do at some point in my life, hopefully with friends. And I think it'd be a really cool enhancer of life.
Yeah, sign me up. I'm in on the jet.
So you guys do the jet to Monaco, like hang out a little bit, Pomo Pizza.
I think I know what your answer is going to be. We'll take the jet to get to what you're going to answer.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the yacht. I'm the boat guy.
Yeah.
I'll host you guys on the boat.
Beautiful.
I got a couple more things here. Dream business to own outside of real estate.
In commercial real estate, we get to experience so many different types of users. We go into their space, and forgive me for using the word users, but it sounds bad, users, but they use the space, and that's what you call them. But, dream business to own outside of real estate. Seeing the warehouse, seeing the operations of all these businesses, I guess you could go a bunch of different directions, right? You say, hey, do you have to generate income doing this? Or do you just have to have fun doing it? If I had to generate income doing something like that, I'd go advanced weapons manufacturing, nutraceutical manufacturing. We have, tenants that do both, and those are really, really, really nice businesses, really in-demand businesses. They have a lot of utility. The nutraceuticals, obviously in the health and wellness space, which, I'm a big proponent for, and specialty weapons manufacturing, just cool stuff. And seeing miniguns mounted to helicopters and how they make them, and it's just cool. It's just cool. So if you have to make a living off of it, one of those two things, yeah.
It's a very obviously sophisticated answer. I think that there is something I've always wanted to do. Is in Europe we have even in the US they exist, but not really in Arizona. It's like a food markets. So imagine like a big warehouse facility with different kiosk and food experiences, which in Europe is big. In Denver, I've been to one. In New York, they have that Eataly. So that was always something I wanted to be part of because it's a double play, right? You
Yeah.
get the real estate component, and we all enjoy different types of foods and quality time. So I figure, you can hit two birds with one stone.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with pro sports team. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What sport?
Soccer or football?
As a German man, I think you'd be more practical than that, right? Max and I are trying to figure out how to. I'm doing the math in my head. The
We have
long
we have a
math.
client that bought a soccer club.
He flipped it.
Bought it for 10 and sold it for 120 3 years later. So that's
That works.
a bit of a business.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a premier.
I think Mark
league
Cuban
team.
did okay on the maths too. So I think
You got to burn a lot of cash to get there. You think Ishbia is sweating right now? A little bit. I've been burning a little cash.
he'll be fine in 10 years, selling it for
He'd be
20
okay.
billion.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All-time favorite movie or TV show?
Oh man, there's some good ones out there. What are we watching recently? I don't want to sound cliche and say Drive to Survive. I do love that one. Suits is really good. I like a lot of the anecdotes that are given in that show, right? The one-liners are awesome. They're super applicable to business. I might know somebody in the room that posts a Suits quote at least once a week. So Suits was great. I love Suits when that was on, and I felt like so much that could apply to real life. So I loved it.
And movie?
Movie? Man, I'm not a huge movie goer. I don't know. White Lotus is kind of like a movie. It was super well written. I love super well written stuff like that. So if you could call that a movie, I know it's a show, but that one's awesome. All 3 seasons.
Okay, yeah, Suits, of course. Harvey Specter is just a legend. I think Wolf of Wall Street or Boiler Room. Any of those sales related. Obviously, the business ethics are highly questionable, but and it's obviously not something we live by. But I just love those movies. And I think this is probably one of the few ones I've watched more than once.
Yeah.
It's just a good time. $26,000 for fucking sides. It's something that we could do too.
We're getting pretty close to that, yeah. I'm gonna go. I mean, Suits, Entourage is good. I like Billions. It's a good show. Movies, I always liked American Gangster, Denzel Washington. It's a good movie. Yeah.
Legendary entrepreneur or CEO you love to have dinner with?
Man, you should have given me these ahead of time so I could have some really impactful answers, right? You just rapid
The
fire.
whole
'em.
point, it's rapid fire.
Yeah. Who's a CEO? Jamie Dimon kicks major ass. So I think I'd go with Jamie Dimon. I just think he has a lot of insight to share. I don't want to say Warren Buffett, although Warren Buffett would be great. Jamie Dimon, I think, whether you like him or not, you sit down, you have lunch with him, you're going to learn something.
It's a good one.
I think the CEO from Blackstone. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, but they buy a couple things.
They buy just a few things and own a couple. I think from the real estate standpoint, that would be. I'm reading the book right now, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Just because I read the book from Warren Buffett, and I watched a lot of stuff from him. And recently, I came across the whole compound interest, all that stuff again. That he talked. I think it'd be very interesting to see, how his mind works. Being that successful for 50 plus years. It's a common answer, but I think for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So principled. So principled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More patient than us.
Last one, a city you live in for a year just for fun.
I haven't been to too many to tell you that I'd want to live there, right? If you're continental U.S., I'd go Newport Beach, right? It's just absolutely nirvana there. If we went international, probably like St. Barts or Saint Tropez. Absolutely. Get on the beach.
I think it's again dual purpose. I mean, you gotta have fun there, but you also gotta be able to, meet some good people. I'd stay in Monaco for a year.
Gonna spend some dough.
I would dig some stuff up for us.
Yeah, good.
I would probably hang out in Saint-Tropez with him. We'll drive up to Monaco. It's only
So
an
take
hour.
your boat, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the boat. That's a good spot. I don't know how good it is in the winter time. I've never been. I've only been during the summer, but that's definitely a good lifestyle there.
Then that was draft. That's the draft.
Perfect.
I think we did okay.
I think we kind of
Got some good stuff going.
We got it going. All right, so let's get started with some of the questions. You obviously, we talked about in the beginning, Phoenix native. There isn't that many. There's a lot of people moving here. Do you still benefit a lot from growing up here, relationships? Are you still is that something that you feel like your background being local helps you, or is that something where you're like, no, I just built it up later in life, and there's not a lot of ties to the early ages?
Yeah, being here in a real estate dominant town and being in real estate has been really cool to watch, driving down streets that didn't exist when I was a kid, seeing buildings that certainly didn't exist when I was a kid, meeting people, seeing people, knowing who's who in town. I'd say it's not a prerequisite to being in real estate here, to growing up here. It certainly helps. Since there are definitely relationships that I leverage, from people that I met growing up, going to school here, having a hyper local approach to our business. It's certainly helpful, but not necessary. So yeah, I'd say it's helpful. Yeah, absolutely.
And then what made you pivot into commercial real estate after the wholesale watch business?
I did a little bit of hard money lending, a little bit of debt consolidation. And I ran into these real estate guys in town. You see me light up. I was at the Village. Actually, my dad made an introduction to a guy named Curtis Brown. And, Curtis said, why don't you come have a meeting with us? And so I took the meeting, and I was doing my own thing at the time, being an entrepreneur, whatever you call it. And I met with Curtis, and he's like, boy, do you have an opportunity here. He goes, real estate is great. It's like what you're doing now with watches or debt consolidation, but there's 5 more zeros on the end of every transaction. You're going to do the same amount of work. And I'm like, that's interesting. I had a very impactful friend growing up that was in the real estate business. His family was in the real estate business. And, there was a lot of glamour there. His family had done it forever, conservatively. They had the boats, the jets, the, cars, you name it. And so I saw the shiny object, and I'm like, well, I met this guy, Curtis Brown, at the gym. Thanks, Dad. Let's figure out how to get the shiny object. And I realized quickly that there was so much more depth to the business than shiny object, right? It became this chasing the deal, finding the next challenge, how to overcome that challenge. And now I'm taking 5 steps further. This may be in here later, but that's what really keeps me enamored with the business on a daily basis is just that challenge to fix, to strive for the next level, to do the bigger deal. I'm a deal junkie at heart. So the next deal is my favorite deal. And, I absolutely love the business. It's different every day. Like I said earlier, you get to walk into different spaces. You get to see people doing different things. It's just awesome. I freaking love it. And so what initially drew me to the business was seeing other people that were successful in that domain. And, it grew into much more. My passion grew so much greater than things that you could generate from doing that business later on. That's tertiary, way down the list is shiny things that you can do if you're successful in the business. So
speaking of deals junkie, how did you get your first deals? Because we always talk about a residential, so commercial is obviously a whole different animal. How did you get your first deals done in commercial, and how did you get your first milestone deal where you maybe say that was the first big boy?
Oh, man.
How did you give us the first couple, and then maybe the first big boy?
You guys are in my head, here, he's got some good stories. The first deal, I don't think I remember my first deal in brokerage too vividly. I know who it was with and what happened there. Being in brokerage, you have to learn the language, and it's not that hard. Being successful in the business requires grit, requires effort. But it doesn't require a super high IQ. You have to be conversational with people. I tell people all the time, if I can do it, there's a lot more people that surely can. And so I did my first deal. It was down in Tempe. It was a 5,000 foot deal, and picking up the phone and cold calling people and finding people that had a need for space. It wasn't a sphere of influence, actually. It was grinding and finding a tenant that had a need, and placing that tenant. So that probably took 6 months, to learn the language, to have the confidence, to hop on the call, to connect with the tenant, to place the tenant, to negotiate the deal. And so it was actually a home remodeling company that I did my first deal in the business with. And it was great. I got my confidence. I figured out how to do it, and then we were off to the races. And so, my first year in the business, I ground my ass off, calling people, learning, just figuring out where to be to be in the right spot at the right time. I think I made $13,000 my first year in the business, and I was like, holy smokes, this isn't going to pay for any bills. Thank goodness I had some savings, and that's really an amount that you have to climb when you get into this business. So, I made 13 grand, but I saw the light. I said, here it comes. Here it comes. I freaking knew if you do this, you call people, you stay active, you stay aggressive, you call the right people, and you put yourself in the right place. I knew where the gold was buried. It was just pick up the shovel and do it. And our deal cycle's super long, right? You guys have an escrow. It's 7 days, 10 days, 21 days, 30 days. We're 12 months, sometimes 2 years, 3 years. We have an escrow that's been open right now for 3 years, right? A development rezone. It's just a crazy complex deal. And so, they take a lot longer. And so, I tell you, I made 13 grand in the business the first year, and then it started to improve from there. And my first big deal was with a previous guest on your show, John Schlitt, actually. The owners of my company owned a development company as well. They were building a new project in Scottsdale circa 2016, 275,000 square foot buildings. And they said, you're not going to be on the listing team of this, youngster, but we're going to give you a name on a brochure, and you can go shop with that brochure. So I cataloged all the information I could. I found 360 people in the Scottsdale Air Park that could lease space in that building. And I said, why don't I call all 360 of them, right? I'm not going to get paid on the landlord side. I better get to representing tenants. And so, and that's a great way to make money in the business. So I called all the tenants, and John Schlitt was one of them. And being that I love cars, I was enamored by him and his growth and his story, being an absolute young hustler, grinding his butt off for Penske and then starting his own deal. I just likened myself to the guy. And I think I started showing up at his office every Friday. I knew he had to grow, right? He was in 6,000 feet in a hangar in the Scottsdale Air Park. And I said, this guy's a monster, right? He wheels his you-know-what around in a wheelbarrow. He's going to be huge. And so I just committed myself to showing up every Friday. He's like, bro, don't you have a job? I go, you are my job. I'm going to land you at our new project, bud. And so I stayed with it, right? Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I'd bring him a bottle of vodka. I'd bring him a cigar. And he's like, bro, you don't have to keep bringing me stuff. And I'm like, I got to get you to do the deal somehow. So I think, we spent 6 months or so trying to work on terms, and he's like, all right, bro, I'll give you a shot. You know how John talks. And so we sit, and I'm learning, he's learning, and he's mentoring me in business, and it was a great relationship, one of the great relationships that I have ever created in the business. And he did the deal. On the way to do the deal, I had bought a car, right? I had a 150,000 mile, whatever. I was driving around shitbox to go tour these industrial buildings wherever in town. And that was the car I had at the time, making 13 grand a year. You're not going to buy an ultra nice, ultra exclusive, whatever. And so I had just got a new car because my old car was causing problems. And on the way to sign the deal with John Schlitt, wham! They fucking T-boned on the way there. And I'm like, oh man, my first big deal. I got the papers all slewn across the car. Now I get T-boned on the way to sign this deal with John Schlitt. I'm like, Johnny, I'm not going to make it today. I got a T-bone. He's like, oh, bro, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I was worried. I'm like, I gotta go sign this deal up. And so I signed the deal. It was a big deal, and it was great. We were off to the races from that point on. That was the most impactful, one of the most impactful deals, if not the most impactful deal in my career, right? It showed, hey, if you commit yourself to this business, you're going to make the 13 grand. You stay with it, you show your worth, you create opportunities for yourself, and then it hits. And then it hits, right? That's, I think John talked about it in his podcast. You know, you commit yourself and you grind and you grind and you grind, and then suddenly you're really lucky, right? Just happens to be luck, maybe.
Well, it looks like it.
Yeah. Maybe it looks like luck, but you know, he's been a super connector for me and my partners moving forward in the business. He's just a great referral source, being the clientele that he deals with. He's such a beast. I'm so thankful, so blessed to have done a deal with him. And yeah, it's been the most impactful deal of my career. So there you go. It's a very long answer to your question.
And it literally hits.
Yeah, it hits.
Case,
Yeah,
it really hit you.
Yeah, I got hit for sure.
So do you want to tell everyone that's watching and listening to this a little bit about your setup right now? Because you pretty much have a similar setup to what Patrick and I have with our brokerage development investment company. Just so you know, everyone has a good understanding of what that entails.
Absolutely. I'll back up a second, right, and tell you how we got to where we are today. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Spend 5 minutes on it real quick.
That's the point.
Absolutely. When I started with Ross Brown Partners, that's the name of our company. You know, Curtis Brown, his name's on the door. He sat me down and said, you know, there's opportunity here. Again, never understood how big that blessing could be if you committed yourself and you were loyal to them. And so that's what happened, right? The brokerage business is highly attritious. You kind of move around, you take the check, you take a bonus, you move. And, you know, from the onset, they sat me down and they said, we're going to teach you the ropes here, and we're going to give you great opportunities. And when we do that, we expect you to reciprocate that to us. If you're ever unhappy with anything, come to us, right? We want to help you. We're going to help you grow in the business. And so, you know, years later, you know, my partner Peyton and I, which I'll touch on in a second, we've purchased the company from them actually 3 years ago now. And it's been the biggest opportunity, the biggest blessing we could have asked for. So now I'll reverse and I'll tell another, a fun story. I have a business partner, Peyton Craignier, and Ross Brown Partners. We own the company together. I met Peyton through cars. I think he was 14, I was 17, and his buddy was trying to buy some crazy race car from me or something. And you know, 14-year-old Peyton's in the backseat of this car with roll cages, and we're ripping through streets in Mexico. Definitely not North Scottsdale. And you know, his eyes are big, and he's like, "Holy shit, can I trust this guy? Like, we're really ripping." And you know, I would not do that same thing today, but the 17-year-old mind functions in a much different way than it does as an adult. And so we became friends. We would always see each other at the gym. Went through college. This is years later now, and he got a job with Morgan Stanley, Rookie of the Year. Total freaking badass. We call him the silent assassin. He's absolutely wonderful. It's much like the relationship that you two share with each other. We just get each other. We get it. We have each other's backs. And, you know, he called me from Morgan Stanley, and he's like, "Hey, you're doing some things. Why don't you bring some money over? I'll be your financial advisor." And I threw the Uno Reverso card down on the table, and I said, "Why don't you come over here and work with me? I've got an opportunity knocking," right? Like Curtis Brown sat me down at the beginning of my career. I knew that something was going to happen. I didn't know that it was going to be an acquisition of the company, but I knew where the gold was buried, and I had the shovel, and I just needed another person to help go dig that up or find the opportunity. And so Peyton and I talked a lot, and you know, he decided to take another job in between. He left Morgan Stanley. It wasn't satisfying him or stimulating him.
Flooring business.
Yeah, he went to the flooring business after that, right? And that's okay. I think he learned a lot there, and it provided him some great contacts in the business. And you know, some things happened there. And flooring company's great. We still work with them today. And you know, we love those guys. They're great guys. But I think he wore out his tires and his brakes and his shoes running around bidding jobs, and he's like, "Oh man, what do you got? Let's revisit that conversation. So he came on 6 months in, he hadn't made $1. Same kind of story, right? I made 13 grand my first year. Come on, Peyton, we got to do better than that. And I knew he had it. I could see it. I'm like, this kid's an absolute killer because he's not afraid to pick up the phone. He's fearless, right? He doesn't care if you tell him no, right? It doesn't matter to him. He is completely unfazed by it. And so,
Not by podcast though.
yeah.
That's what he's missing today. Shout out
Yeah.
Peyton.
Maybe
We'll get to the next one. Maybe season 3 we'll have Peyton here.
We'll get him there. No, but he made $0 in 6 months, and I think frankly, he told me he was talking with Morgan Stanley again, right? Because he was like, I don't know, man, but he was both feet in. He was ultra committed to the business, and month 7 he closed a big one, and he's like, holy smokes, man, this is gonna work. And then the following 6 months, it just kept compounding and compounding and compounding, and I'm like, this opportunity is going to come about where the old guys are going to leave and we're going to have to leave too, or buy the company. And there's not a better partner I could have ever asked for, could have ever dreamed up, that has the characteristics that Peyton has, to approach him and say, hey, let's go buy this thing together. And so we did. And we created a very amicable deal for us, maybe not so much us as the founding partners, right? I don't know if we got the last cent or they did. At least we let them think they got it. And so we bought the company 3 years ago. And just this story of the loyalty and devotion. Peyton and I could have pulled the parachute, gone elsewhere, started our own company, but just like I kind of committed myself to the founders of the company. He did the same, and we figured out how to buy it from them, right, to carry on their legacy. They had 30 years of resilient, excellent track record here in town. They got to do their reputation once, and let me tell you, they crushed it. They absolutely crushed it. And so to honor them and to carry their names and their company legacy forward was very obvious to Peyton and I that that's the route we were going to go when we knew they would age out of the business. And so we did it. We bought the company, and here we are, growing very, very quickly, and it's exciting. It's an exciting journey. Peyton's 28, I'm 32, and so at our ages, it's such a young age to be at the helm of the ship, and to get to grow this thing is really exciting, especially in a town where real estate just absolutely crushes. So
Definitely. We talked about earlier, you had a little bit of a watch business and you did the hard money lending. Tell us a little bit about how, your learnings from those early entrepreneur days, business owner days, whatever you want to call it, helps you today, like running your company, having, employees, 1099s, whatever you want to call it, right? Like you have a whole team that rely on you making decisions for the company. So what did you learn at a young age that you still use on a daily basis, and what is maybe something that you learned later on?
When I was growing up in business and doing the watch stuff for the hard money lending stuff or the debt consolidation, I had a swim coach growing up, Edwin Shue, and Edwin was an attorney. Big time attorney at one of the big firms, and I didn't know what to do, how to put contracts together, and he's like, listen, I will help you with contracts, here's how we'll do it. And so he gave me an anecdote one time, and it was, trust your consultants, or you utilize your consultants, right? And at 16, 17 years old, I didn't know a whole lot, right? I knew how to swim, I knew how to eat, I knew how to listen to my mom mostly. And so learning from Edwin, an impressionable attorney at the time and a coach of mine, to trust your consultants, to rely on your consultants, to utilize consultants that know a whole lot more than you do or specialize in different areas. That's something that I've brought forward from those early days in business to today, right? I know what I'm good at, and I also know what I'm not good at. And so utilizing the people around you, utilizing your team, creating that team, vetting that team, training that team to a common goal has been the most important thing that I've brought forward from those early days in business, right? I still approach transactions in that same way. Hey, I might know a little bit, but there's a lot of people that know a lot more. Let's utilize them in that specific part of the transaction to make sure that we're offering our best service to the client, our best service to ourselves, our best service to, the situation at hand.
It's kind of what we do too, I guess. It requires obviously the right team and having faith in the right consultants. Yeah. How have you vetted the people that you're currently working with, whether it's on the agent side or on the consultant side, and is there anything you can recommend as like a vetting process for anyone that's listening?
Yeah, I approach it much like you guys do, is to where, again, you're utilizing your current network to first ask and see if they have a consultant in any domain, right? For instance, if we want to talk residential appraisals, right? I don't know about residential appraisals, or at least I didn't. But let's pretend like I didn't know about residential appraisals. Because we're partners, because we've done so much together, I'm going to call you guys and trust you unequivocally because I vetted you and you have vetted, right, residential appraisers, Andrew Turley, Phoenix Valuations. Give a little shout out to him there. You vetted those people and I trust you. And so, finding that first person that you trust that probably knows somebody that they trust and just utilizing your network, again, pushing it out to your friends and your family and your, friends, people in business that have done those things before you. Don't reinvent the wheel. Let's ask your network if they can find a consultant for you. And I don't know of any cold references that we've had to call in years. We just ask the network, right? There's a lot of power in the network, and utilizing them to find the consultants is what we do.
And then you're obviously like a local guy, local business, right? So how do you guys, because we have the same thing on our brokerage, right? Like we're the small boutique style brokerage. How do you compete, or is it like do you think it's like a bonus to be a more boutique one, or is it sometimes hard to, go up against CBRE, like one of the big ones where everybody knows their names, nationwide? Like, how do you guys work around that?
That's a great question. I'm going to have like 5 times where I light up today, and this is my favorite because we get asked, when we ask for the order on our brokerage assignments, this is a question that we get every time, right? And so it's exciting that you guys could figure out how to ask that same question. And CB and Cushman are the household names, sometimes JLL. And we focus in a product area in our brokerage company between $5 and $50 million on the sales side, between 10 and 150,000 feet on the tenant side. And so we kind of know where we operate best. And anything below 5 million or 10,000 feet on the tenant side, still very important transactions. And those people maybe don't get the best level of service, and your time may not be worth working on those transactions. We still service people in that domain, but at $5 to $50 million, I'm giving you the bottom end 5. What's going on at 50 million and above? That's highly institutionalized. Most of the time you're going to utilize the big name because you're an institution and you want an institution and they work well together. They're all publicly traded. Publicly traded wants to use publicly traded. And so we've found that if we stay in that middle area and just eat the crumbs, that there are a lot of crumbs to eat. And we really, really excel. And when you go institutional, not to slam my competition because they're great people, right? We'll give any recommendation for any one of them, but they don't pay as much attention to that $5 to $50 million range, right? Just like they have really big and complex transactions to work on. There's one that the CB team's working on right now. It's 2.8 million feet. There are 850 tenants in this portfolio that they're selling. I don't have the staff to underwrite that. And so that would be best to put on them and to have them work on. And you know what? When they're working on that, they're not going to be able to curate an experience for a 50,000 foot tenant in Scottsdale that needs more space, a 50,000 foot tenant on the west side, a 100,000 foot tenant. They just don't have the time, and it's almost not worth their time because they have a team of 20 people. They've got to feed that team. And so we take a hyper-local approach. We take a highly specific approach whereby you're going to come first. We're not going to work on 15 other deals that are just like yours, right? You're going to be one or two or three of the people in that subset or that category that we're working on at any given time. And so, you know, when we go in and we give that pitch and we say, hey, the big guys aren't going to pay attention to you. We're going to pay attention to you. We're hyper local and we do the most deals in this area. We're champions of our arena. You know, I think we bat 99 out of 100, you know, when we give that information. We back it up with data, right? I'm the empirical guy. I walk in with a spreadsheet and I say, well, here's the math, or here's the deal transactions, here's the highlight reel. And we send that out on a regular basis, and it leads to us winning the
It's a
deal.
very similar approach to what we, right? Like stick to what you know and focus on that, and then show your value in that spot. Be like, hey, we don't have 100 listings, so we can actually service you maybe more or better than somebody that's spread thin based on, you know, the volume that they might do or something.
And it's a choice to do so, right? So now it becomes a very authentic business approach, because that's what you do, and that's why you provide a better service, and give someone more attention, right?
Absolutely.
Do you have like one particular story or success example of where you ran against the big guys, and why do you think you got the business over them?
It's funny because we run against them on a weekly basis. We beat them on a weekly basis. I love them all, but we beat them. We're gonna win, right? We can still be friends and go to the gym and do car stuff, do watch stuff, hang out together on the weekends, go golf. But we kick their ass all the time. They don't like it too much, but you know, they're still friendly with us. You know, rephrase the question. You said, give us a recent example.
Is there one, and you don't have to name names, but I'm more trying to get to what ended up being the differentiating factor. Is it the fact that you're hyper local and focused in that niche? Like,
yeah,
because I don't know about you, but we sometimes, if we run into these situations, which we run on a weekly basis too, and we start to bet higher and higher now.
Yeah.
We're always curious, you know, why, what ends up being the differentiating factor, and what ends up being the why did we win? You. Because I think that substantiates your value and helps you win more in the future.
Absolutely. Peyton and I sold a piece of land late last year. There were 5 brokerage companies competing for the listing on the land. One of them was us, right? And this is a classic David and Goliath story where we're the small guys, the institutional guys in their suits and their Range Rovers, and you know, they show up and they get ready to show them the plan. Big, beautiful marketing brochures, and you know, it's sexy, right? You're like, holy smokes, that's pretty hard to compete against. They have a marketing team. We have 2 printers. Right. No, and I'm exaggerating on purpose to prove a point, but I tell you, if we called the 2 principals of that company that ultimately awarded us the deal, I'd tell you that Peyton and I were writing paragraph-long emails. We were running spreadsheets at 9 p.m., at 10 p.m., at 11 p.m., and just going back and forth with the client, being available whenever the client was available to respond. And that client works very hard. They have an operating business, and they crush it as well. And so they're focused during the day. And we found that being available at 11 p.m. and having an ability to respond to emails worked well. And carrying that forward, right, that responsiveness, that awareness of the client's needs, and just being available on top of grinding our asses off for them. I think we had 1,000 emails into that deal. I guarantee, you know, every other brokerage firm that showed up with the one-trick pony, the sexy brochure, and I've got a team, they paid no attention to that level of detail, that level of responsiveness, that level of grit, that level of grind with that client. And that's why we were ultimately awarded the deal, right? And that's a very fruitful relationship, and it makes the 11 p.m. nights worth it, where we're grinding on our Excel spreadsheets, and our wives are begging us to jump into bed because they just want to sleep. And they're allowing us to commit to our craft and grind and win those transactions. And so, in addition to what I told you earlier about being hyper local, being a champion of our domain, absolutely grinding at all times and committing yourself to the craft is how we won the deal. So
let's touch on one topic too. Like, we also talk about development all the time, right? Like, we do it on the residential side. You guys do a lot of commercial development stuff. Maybe give us a little bit of a rundown what you guys do, what you're involved with, and maybe specifically touch base on that famous project of ours up north that you brought us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe let's talk a little about commercial development.
Yeah. Our company, we have 6 different silos, one being property management, one being asset management, one being brokerage, one being development, and then we have JVs with title and escrow and 1031. And so development is a very exciting part of our business. We haven't done too much of it yet, being that we've been focused on the service-based aspects of the company, buying the company and whatnot. But development's great. It's a very long deal cycle, and it takes a lot of knowledge and experience in the business to be able to do it and do it well. And you don't want to mess up a $50 million, $100 million, $250 million development deal. You have to have that knowledge and experience. And so, industrial development is largely what we focus on, right? We stay out of the way of our clients, and one of the ways, and the first way that we're going to do that, we don't want to compete with our clients in the brokerage side of our business. And none of our clients are developing exotic car condos. And so we saw this niche absolutely explode in the Scottsdale area, with the prevalence of car collectors, high net worth individuals, just absolutely this huge influx of these individuals here, and the proliferation of development of these car condos. And so, a thing or two about building stuff. We know a thing or two about land. We know a thing or two about entitlements. And so we found a beautiful piece of land currently being entitled, and we're going to build 75,000 feet of Class A exotic car condos up in North Scottsdale, just proximate to Westworld. And, we noticed that in this niche, most people cut corners. They won't spend that extra $5-10 a foot on the development side. And it's not, these things aren't over the top, $15 million luxury specs. You pick the color of the concrete block on the outside. You pick how big the door is going to be, how many lighting fixtures you put in, and what color paint's going on the wall. And so there are just a few things that you can tweak and look at and really get excited about, to spend a little bit more money on, to present your product in a much higher arena than what's out there. And so I think, we liked exposed copper fire lines rather than painted ones. We liked the scrim sheet insulation to be above the deck so you can look up and see beautiful steel roof. We improved our lighting fixtures a little bit. We went a little sexier with the split face masonry on the front of the building, and over a $30 million project, I think we spent another $500,000 to our competition. But when you walk in the unit and you see the copper and you see the lights and you see the paint and the brick's a little different on the front of the building, you're going to go, this is a whole lot nicer. I'd like to buy that one over the competition. And guess what? We're going to price it the same. And so we're excited for the project. I won't reveal the pre-sale numbers yet, but it's healthy. And we're looking forward to do more of that. It's a passion project as well, coupling automotive theme stuff with real estate and development. It brings all of our passions together. And so we're excited. That'll deliver middle of next summer. We're taking reservations now. $600 a foot is our starting price, and goes up from there. But that's kind of our first foray, Peyton and I, and you gentlemen as well as investors in the project. That's our first foray into doing large scale development in Scottsdale. So we're excited.
If anyone wants to find out more, is there like a website?
Yeah, you can go to collectorsgarages.com. Beautiful renderings on there. We're working with the company in town locally now to do full virtual reality walkthroughs of the spaces, and we're excited to launch that here. No formal marketing has been launched yet, and we'll do that once we have the land zone ready to go. But we're excited. Yeah, collectorsgarages.com.
Okay, let's stay in the car space. speak to us a little bit about your passion about cars and your involvement with as a brand ambassador with Ferrari.
Yeah, I absolutely love cars. I think that was one of the reasons that prompted me to get into the business. In high school, not having a car when I turned 16 was painful, and so I think I made myself a promise that if I had the means, I would do fun stuff that's car related in life. And so business has been an absolute blessing, and I've got to do fun car things. And so, John, I'll go back to John Schlett. I had walked through his warehouse for years driving my crappy 150,000 mile cars, and you always saw a key on the key ring at the side of his warehouse, right? Or when his door was open to his safe vault and you could see the keys, and the red ones were really pretty. You go, oh, that's a pretty cool looking key. Why is it red, right? And you pull it out and it's got the little Cavallino horse on it. It says Ferrari, and you're like, this is pretty special, right? And so he threw me the keys one day, and I'm like, dude, I made 13 grand last year. You sure?
Afford for like 1 month.
You sure? Here's a Ferrari, bud. He's like, oh, bro, come on, take it out. Just try it out. Right? So I get the red key, right? And your nerves are going. You're like, holy smokes, I'm going to drive a $250,000 car, right? And so it was a very impressionable experience. I don't think I've ever told John this, right? But I'm holding this key there, and you fire the thing up, and you're like, shit, this is cool, man. I could do this, right? And so
what model was it? You remember?
it was a 458. Yeah, it was a 2012 458. It's white. I got pictures of it on my phone. You kidding me? Yeah, great car. Great car. And so it drove my hunger to do more in business, was, to figure out how to be able to buy one of those things. And we're winding down on time here. I could give it a go. I walk into the Ferrari dealership in North Scottsdale in my sweaty ass gym clothes. It was after leg day, Saturday leg day. And I was finally there, right? I had been afraid to go to the Ferrari dealership as a kid because it was so intimidating. And, I'd make my mom drive me by when I was 14, and I'd just look, right? And then when I was 17, I'd get out and walk the parking lot. And now I'm, 27 years old or 28 years old, and, I'm going to go buy one. And you good? Yeah. I go to walk in the dealership, and one guy pays particular attention to me. I'm looking at the car with intent, and he's like, do you like this car? You look like you know what you're looking at. I said, yeah, this thing's pretty sweet. And I start talking to him about the spec, and he's like, you sound like you know a lot about it. And I go, yeah, I've studied this shit since John Schlett threw me the keys 5 years ago, guy. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
That was David, yeah?
Yeah, David Mace up at Scottsdale Ferrari. And he's like, we'll do you one better. You seem passionate about it. You want to change the spec a little bit, I'll let you order one. So he let me order one, and then I did another one, and have really enjoyed the brand. And, being young and youthful, bringing some new energy to the brand, kind of getting rid of the stigma that it's for, I don't know, people of a certain age demographic, attitude. That's not been my experience with the brand, and so they asked me to help them kind of change that stigma. It's a youthful brand. It's a sexy brand. It's a cool brand. It's something to aspire to have, and getting people access to that brand, teaching them how to interact with the brand and be a part of the brand, have passion for the brand, has been really cool. And that's what they've asked me to do, is to introduce people to the brand and bring them over. And Max is almost there. Patrick's been there, and it's just the red key in your hand, man. It's the freaking coolest thing ever.
Yeah, it is. All right, we wanted to touch on a few personal Kyle things. Obviously the first one is going to come from me on the dad side. So you got some news on that. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
You ready? How prepared are you guys already?
For the kid?
Yeah.
My wife's pretty type A, man. She puts me in my place, and kids due July 27th. Nursery's done. That's been done for a while, man. I was throwing nails at that thing a long time ago. She always finds a new project for me to do in there, but we're done. How prepared am I now that the nursery's done? Maybe on a physical or psychological level. We've waited 4 years for a kid, so we've tried, and I don't think there could be more love in a situation like ours for a kid to get ready to bring her into the world. And so we're ready. I'm so excited. I get pumped up. I'm so excited for this kid. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm ready or not, right? I'm not going to know until this thing, oh shit, man, here we go.
There's no manual for it.
Yeah, no manual.
No, you figure it out.
But I'm really excited.
You're going to figure it out. I think it's interesting, like maybe in like season 4, we'll have you back and talk about it, because I think it changes a lot in life, puts a lot of stuff in perspective and what's really important and everything. So excited.
And you're going to work harder.
Absolutely.
More efficient. Like I feel like I work more efficient. Like you do stuff, because the time with your kids, like last week, 3 times I went home for dinner, put him to bed, and went back to the office from like 9 to midnight or something. Like you do stuff, you still get the work done, maybe more, but you still also have somehow more time. It's interesting. So curious to catch up on that in 2 years.
Yeah.
For now, what's important, obviously, let's talk really quick, a little bit about watches, cars. We talked about it earlier. Obviously, we always talk about it's also some type of an investment thing, right? But what are your like favorite pieces of your investments?
Referring to watches, yeah.
For example.
My first love has always been Rolex, and I've had a really wonderful experience with Rolex, Coffin and Trout down in Chandler here. They've been wonderful, and so I think the Daytona is a little bit small, but I absolutely love the Daytona. The pedigree, the history, the heritage, I absolutely love it. Favorite watch in the collection, yellow gold Le Mans Daytona. Absolutely, piece of racing history, retro, cool, highly exclusive, bar none. Yeah, Patek's, it takes a little bit longer to get into those. It's much harder to get than a Rolex, and so that's ultimately my dream, is to have more of those in the collection. But yeah, Le Mans Daytona, gold, yellow gold.
It's a good one.
On our list still. That one, but that one's tough to get. We know.
Yeah.
Anything? I'm trying to think what would be good as like a closing remark or question. What are your business and personal goals for the next year? Because like Patrick said, we're probably going to do another episode here one day together.
With Peyton.
With Peyton.
We're gonna get Peyton here.
Gonna have to.
That one's gonna be man. We don't have to actually show him. Peyton, you can just sit in the corner with a
like
microphone.
Marshmallow, like the DJ or someone. Put some sort of head on him.
We'll get you here. Yeah. What do we hope for in the next year? Personally, professionally. Professionally, we want to 2x the size of our company. A lot of different ways to quantify that, a lot of different metrics to follow there. But in general, we want to 2x it in a year, 12 months time, right? 30-year-old company. We're setting out a highly aggressive goal this year to 2x it this year alone, from 30-year history to 2x in 1 year. I think we're going to get there. I know we're going to get there. We have the best team. When Peyton and I got to buy the company, we bought culture, we bought personnel that was committed and loyal. Our average employee tenure is over 20 years at the company. And so, that theme of my first meeting, my first interview of commit yourself, be loyal, and grind your ass off, translating to that same culture that's been fostered with the people that support us and work with us on a daily basis. There's no goal that we can't go out and absolutely beat, or at least give a pretty good college try at beating. And so it's just that team, that culture that we have. It's fun. You come to our office, we have a good freaking time. People are laughing, people are smiling, and we're committed to that goal. And so we're going to grind it out. Our people and our culture are going to get us there.
So last question, the question we ask everybody at the end: if you would sit down with 16-year-old Kyle and you could talk to him, like what kind of advice would you give 16-year-old Kyle?
Slow down the action, right? Sometimes you find yourself going quickly or maybe not looking at your network or looking to consultants or looking or asking for help or finding a mentor. And we didn't even touch on mentorship today, which has been the most impactful thing in my career, and reason for success in the career is mentorship. I'd encourage myself to really dig deep, practice patience. When things get crazy, you slow down the action. You look to your network, you look to your consultants, you talk to people that you trust, and just get their buy-in on the decisions you're going to get to make. I've had good times and I've had really, really trying, tough, expensive times in my career. And so if I could talk to my 16-year-old self, I'd say slow down the action, bud. Think about it. Talk to people. Reach out to your mentors, reach out to your network. Not that you have that when you're 16 years old, but develop that. Get that going sooner. That's what I'd say.
Okay, and before we wrap it up, I think it's a good opportunity for us to thank you for your friendship and business partnership. I think this has been extremely good. I know we're just getting started, and we're looking forward to many more watches, cars, deals, trips. And all of that.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, cheers. Appreciate you.
So thank you so much for sharing everything today, Kyle. Thanks for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed our episode, and we'll be tuning in for the next one here shortly.
And as always, if you like the show today, make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the good stuff, and then we'll see you on the next one.